A very good evening to you if you've just tuned in. You're listening to Phoenix Radio, broadcasting on 90.2 MHz VHF, as we do each and every Saturday evening from 7 until 11 PM. My name's John Scott. I'll be presenting the programme until 9 o'clock this evening, and then it's Still Black between 9 o'clock and 10, and then Brian Marshall between 10 and the close down at 11. That's one side of the new Cabaret Voltaire 12-inch, which sees them a label change from Rough Trade to Le Disque du Crépuscule. That track was called Gut Level. Our phone line will be opening up in a little while's time, so if you want to give us a ring, get yourself something to write with and on, and we'll give you out the number in around about 10 minutes time. Here's something from the new Funboy 3 LP called Waiting. That's a group called The Very Things, who I think have some connection with the Cravats, and a relatively new single from them on Corpus Christi Records. That was called The Gong Man, and then before that, as requested by Andrew Clark in Worcester Park in Surrey, Altered Images and Sentimental. The phone lines are now open, so if you'd like to give us a ring here on Phoenix Radio this evening, it'll be open until around about 11:15 to 11:30. The number to call us on is 01 if you're outside of London, 568. Here's a new 12-inch from the Dance Society. That's the Dance Society and their new single, available on 7 and 12-inch. That was taken from the 12-inch there, and if you buy the 12-inch you get an extra track on one of the sides, which is one called The Theme, which runs for about 9 minutes in all. That's their new single, as I say. It's a double A side. One is called Hide, and the track we heard there was one called Somewhere. You're listening to Phoenix Radio on 90.2 MHz VHF, and if you'd like to give us a ring this evening, we'd like to hear from you. The phone number, as per usual, 01 if you're outside of 8. And all of the records played on Phoenix Radio are available from Rough Trade Records at 202 Kensington Park Road, London, West 11. Either go into the shop and mention that you heard them on Phoenix Radio, or drop my line enclosing an SAE plus a first class stamp with your wants, and also to receive their monthly list of albums, singles, cassettes and fanzines. Most records from Rough Trade are at cheaper prices than elsewhere, and they'll also order harder to get material. So that's Rough Trade Records at 202 Kensington Park Road, London, West 11. Phone 01 229 8541 if you want more information. Factory Records from a couple of years ago. It's a Belgian group called The Names, and a single from them that was Night Shift. It's fast approaching 7:30. Phoenix Radio 90.2 MHz VHF is the station you're listening to. Myself, John Scott, presenting the programme until 9 o'clock this evening, and a bit later on in our live spot at 8:30 we have some live music from The Fall, so I hope you'll stay tuned for that. At 9 o'clock following me, it's Still Black until 10 PM, and then Brian Marshall between 10 and 11. Let's have some New York thrash. I always think it's a great shame that people don't include lyric sheets when they do things like that for us all to sing along to. From the New York Thrash cassette release, that's 3 New York groups, the Bad Brains first of all and Regulator, the Beastie Boys were next with Riot Fight, and then the Nihilistics with Love and Kisses. Great names for all those groups, and there's a whole host of other material like that on the tape, and we may well have some more in future weeks if you'd like to hear some. Quite often here on Phoenix Radio we get people writing to us telling us of fanzines and things like that that they are producing or hope to produce, or perhaps that they read, and we'd really like to be able to extend the amount of publicity which we give to people in this particular field. So if you read a fanzine or are producing one, then get in contact with us and we'll try to give you some publicity over the air. And one person that did that just recently was John from Kentish Town, and John's in the studio with me this week. John, what do you sort of hope to be able to offer by doing a fanzine outside of, say, the Music Weeklies, what they cover?
Well, it'll cover bands that wouldn't normally get coverage in the media. Most punk groups have hardly got any coverage. It's just an alternative.
Do you think that fanzines are maybe still needed today, bearing in mind that it would appear that several have stopped being produced over the past couple of years through lack of interest?
Several have stopped, but many more have gone on with lots of interest.
What do you think the main point behind producing a fanzine is? What do you think the main thing should be behind it?
Just an alternative to the media, something that's interesting, something that will give people pleasure.
How many would you hope to sell? I mean, your one's still in the sort of getting together stages at the moment, but how many would you hope to sell once it's produced?
Around about 150 or so. It might be ambitious, I don't know.
Yeah, and then you obviously want to try and build up from that.
Yeah.
What articles have you got lined up for your first issue? I know it's still in the planning stages at the moment, but have you got anything definite lined up?
Well, I have got an interview from Rubella Ballet. Hopefully I'll be getting the Box to do an interview, and the Sex Gang Children. Other than that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Are you going to be following a sort of familiar pattern to other fanzines with the likes of gig reviews and interviews and charts, or do you want to sort of try and maybe do something a bit new?
Well, there's so little new to do, really. I might do if I get any ideas.
Right, okay. And the point, which of course is a bone in many people's side, is the question of money. Just where have you sort of got your money to get the first issue off the ground?
My own savings, I've got some, which I'll put into it. Hope I get some back, otherwise I'll be bankrupt.
Right, okay. Well, a little bit nearer the time then, we'll mention over the air where people can in fact get the fanzine from when it is actually produced. I think you're looking at some time in a month or so's time of getting the first issue out, aren't you?
Yeah, in a month.
Right. Do you want to hear from people, anyone listening that's maybe got some things to contribute, or any groups out there that maybe want publicity?
Any groups, any artists, anyone with a contribution to make.
Right, okay, so if there's anyone listening interested, and I'm sure there normally is, just write into us here at Phoenix Radio at our usual mailing address, which I'll give out a bit later on, and we'll forward on any comments which you've got onto John. I noticed when I was talking to you the other day, arranging the date for you to come along for the interview and that, you said about a record that you want to hear us play, and you've brought it along this evening. What's this?
This is Ritual and Mind Disease.
That's the music from the Diagram Brothers and their LP Some Marvels of Modern Science, and a track was Put It in a Bigger Box. And then before that was Ritual and a single on Red Frame Records, chosen by a guest who's still in the studio at the other side of it now, John, and that was Mind Disease. And if you'd like to write into us here at Phoenix Radio, perhaps you've maybe got some contributions for the fanzine, which we've just been hearing about for John, then just drop a line into us here and we'll pass all the letters and your correspondence on. The mailing address, Phoenix Radio, number 1 St Barnabas Road, Woodford Green in Essex. And I think at this point I should apologise for Phoenix Radio not being on the air last week from 7 until 10 p.m, missing myself and Jill Black's programme. This was due to some problems with the Home Office and a few technical problems as well. I'm afraid the Home Office were out and about raiding radio stations, such as our own pirate radio stations, that is, and we was unable to come on the air for that and a couple of technical reasons, but thanks to the help of Alice's Restaurant we managed to get the studio fixed up okay somewhere else and come on the air at 10 o'clock with Brian Marshall. And at this point I should like to thank everyone that gave an overwhelming response during the hour that we was on last week. Tremendous, and I hope you'll keep it up and keep showing us your support, and we'll certainly try to stay on the air for as long as possible. But unfortunately, shortly after 11 o'clock, when Phoenix had just closed down, our transmitters were traced by the Home Office and we were raided and all the equipment was confiscated. But hopefully we're coming through pretty well loud and clear this week. Our engineers have been really working hard trying to get new equipment built in time for this Saturday. And if you could comment, let us know what reception's like. It would be a great help. Thanks to everyone that's helped out throughout the week, and as I say, I'd like to thank again for everyone that phoned in and has written in over this past week with your support. Tremendous. Keep it coming. Keep your response flowing in, and we'll do all we can to stay on the air. If you want to give us a ring this evening, show us your support. The number 01 if you're outside of London, 368, and that line is open until 11:30 this evening. Really pleased to see that this is now number 31 in the charts. Hopefully it will be in the top 10 before long. Number 31 in the nation's top 40. Really pleased to see that doing well. That's Orange Juice and the 12-inch version of Rip It Up. But alas, what has happened to the Aztec Camera? Excellent single, Oblivious. Where's that? I think it's slipping down the charts. Great shame. Unfortunately, I had to miss Top of the Pops on Thursday, so I don't know if Orange Juice was on. Maybe someone could let me know, either listening out there or someone involved in the station. That's the 12-inch version of Rip It Up, and I think it's safe to say that we're going to see that go a lot higher. Their 9th single, and at long last, they've made it. As we weren't on the air last week, as loads and loads of people to mention from a couple of weeks ago and also last week, I'm afraid due to the panic which we've had over the past couple of weeks, a lot of sort of your names and that have gone missing, but all the records that people have been asking to hear are being played in the programmes this evening. A few people that we should mention, phone call wise, Tony Martin in Paddington, thanks for your phone call, and I noticed that you said you were going to write into us. Well, we haven't had any letter in from you as yet, so if you still want the information, drop us a line or give us a ring this evening. Jean-Marc Lippmann in Robford wanted a dedication for Chris. Okay, you can have the last record. And hello to Brian Hargeen in Walthamstow rather. You wanted a dedication for Paul, and you've been listening since our Christmas broadcast and you think the programmes are great. Well, I hope you keep listening and keep responding. The phone number 368. There's a new LP out on Zulu Records by Pink Industry. This is one track from it. Pink Industry, first of all, from their new LP that's called Low Technology. It's on Zulu Records, and the track we heard was one called Enjoy the Pain. And then the Go-Betweens, unless we haven't got their great new LP before Hollywood in the studio at the moment. Should have it by next week though. That's a track from their debut one here on Rough Trade called Send Me a Lullaby, and the track was Careless. play a record now for Dee in Bromley. I don't know if this is going to be something that you're going to like, actually, but you gave us a ring in last week. Thanks for your phone calls. Nice to talk to you. And you wanted a mention for Dawn and Hayley, who are your two daughters. And this is from Mum Dee, who was listening for the first time, although I think your kids had listened before. The Sex Gang Children.
This is Phoenix Radio, 90.2 MHz VHF.